Let's be honest, no one really likes filling out forms, whether for work or even personal tasks. The inputting of information, while paramount for collecting key data in most business processes, often feels tedious to users. As app designers, we should constantly be seeking to make business processes easier and even more enjoyable for our users. With that in mind, let's take a look at a few best practices for building forms with Skuid. With Skuid, it's easy to design forms the right way, and you don't have to write any code to do it. In this video, I'm going to use a sample Skuid page that I built to give you 6 quick tips that'll help you design better forms and make your users' lives a lot easier. Let's get started. Tip 1. Show all selection options if under 6. Placing options in a selector dropdown requires 2 clicks and hides the options. Using a simple button group like the example on the left is a quick way to reduce at least one of those clicks each time a user fills out your form. With Skuid, any dropdown can be rendered as a button group without any code. A pick list, like we have on the right, can be used if there are over 5 options, but be sure to incorporate type ahead features within the dropdown if there are over 25 options. Both of these can be done without code in Skuid. Tip 2. Forms should be one column. Multiple columns disrupt a user's vertical momentum. In scenarios where we think we may need 2 columns to make everything fit, we should consider 2 things. First, is it possible there might be too many inputs? Is there any way to cut back on the amount of information that we're asking users to give us? Second, if requesting all that information is a true business requirement, how might we break up that information using some of Skuid's code-free features, like the wizard component or even conditional rendering? Tip 3. Group labels with their inputs. The label and the input should be close together, and there should be enough height between the fields so users don't get confused. For example, take a moment to compare the 2 forms here. The labels in the form on the right are equidistant between the inputs above and below. This makes it more difficult for users to quickly associate a label with its corresponding input. Tip 4. Make calls to action descriptive. A call to action should succinctly state the intent of the action to the user. In this example, sign up tells the user exactly what clicking that blue button is going to do. By clicking that button, they are giving their name and email, and in exchange are being signed up for some service. The word submit in the example on the right makes it clear that the user is giving over their name and email, but tells them nothing about what they will receive in return for that transaction. Tip 5. Differentiate primary from secondary actions. Typically, buttons and actions come in pairs, like save and cancel or next and back. In these situations, it needs to be clear to the user which of the 2 actions is the primary, the action that updates something, progresses something, sends something, and the secondary, the action that cancels the current process or takes a user back a step. Differentiating these actions makes it easier for the users to quickly determine the action that's right for them and less prone to accidentally select the wrong one. And finally, Tip 6. Group related information. Users tend to think in batches, and long forms can feel overwhelming. By creating logical groups, the user will make sense of the form much faster. Additionally, when it comes to business systems, different fields can often have similar labels. Breaking these into categorical groups can also help users quickly determine which is which.